ways I do. So the nitty-gritty, economy, or economics, it's Greek. It simply means one who manages a household. So the economy is made up of households. If people don't buy goods, there's no businesses. If you make your own stuff, if you make your own shirts, you make your own shoes, there's no need to have a business. So that's why we say the economy is made up of households, of people that live together in a community. So the household, they make many decisions. Where to go to eat. Once you're at the restaurant, what do you buy? What do you order? Do you do an appetizer? Do you do a drink? You know, what kind of drink? Alcohol based or not? You know, do you go to the restaurant because on Wednesdays it's $2.99 margaritas? I'm thinking, man, you got me on mangoes right now. So. You know, that kind of stuff. So hunger plays a part of that. Am I very hungry? Well, then I'm going to get an appetizer. The nachos that they bring you with the 2 dips isn't enough, so I'm going to order an appetizer. So, which my favorite, you don't need to write this down, is the chorizo sausage appetizer. So that's what I mean here too, that households are also responsible for selling things, their time. So how many of you have part-time jobs? Okay, about half. So what you're doing in effect is you're selling 1 hour of your time to a business. Okay? And they're giving you $7.50 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever the case is. They're paying you for that 1 hour of time. So. Now society, that's made up of every household out there. You know, we tend to think in this class of the United States, but what happens in Mexico, what happens in Canada, particularly the NAFTA countries, because everything's so close together, but also what happens in China, what happens in Japan when they had that earthquake that caused all that devastation. All those things play a part. So in general, society, they allocate those resources. Okay? So again, those resources there, time, abilities, skills, training, raw materials. Society determines a valid price for those things. So, you know, a stamp, for example, is a resource because you need it to mail a good or a mail package. It costs 50 cents and it keeps going up. Society is determining the value of that stamp. So, and also the output, how hard to work, what motivates you to work hard. So, and we're going to get into that because, you know, for most of us, the answer to that is money. Some of us just work for the fun of it. Others, you know, desperately need money, so you go to work. Now, this right here is a very important concept for this course. We are making some assumptions in this course that resources are scarce. For example, there is not an unlimited supply of crude oil, There is not an unlimited supply of fresh drinking water. There's not an unlimited supply of copper to go into the wiring for all the electrical outlets. That's what we're assuming in this class, that, you know, resources are scarce. Right? And to define that, it's the limited nature of our resources. So as I mentioned, this is a psychology class because we're analyzing what motivates people to buy goods. We're also analyzing why goods have a certain price. You know, why can't everything be everything on a menu be 99 cents? You know, why can't why can't everybody get paid $15 an hour or $30 an hour? What's the reasoning behind that? That involves scarcity, and we're going to get into that in this course. And economics, you know, just put simply, it's just a study of how we manage those scarce resources. Okay. So we decided, again, this is the psychology stuff. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself in what I'm talking about, because like I said, I could talk about this all day. So psychology, you know, economists study how people make decisions. So those of you interested in advertising and marketing, you're doing that because you want to influence people. You want people to buy your product. You want people to go to your sporting events, to buy tickets to theater, whatever the case is. You want to motivate, encourage people to go make that decision to buy that ticket, or buy that meal, or buy that gift for somebody. We also analyze how people interact with each other. So trading. One country is better at producing bananas. Another country cannot produce bananas, or they produce them at a very costly rate. So we're going to get into studying all of those things, all those different nuances. And then analyze the forces and trends that affect the economy as a whole. So natural disasters, like what happened in Japan, I mentioned that already, where they had the natural disaster there. And what happens when a part of the world suffers a natural disaster and the products that were made there or produced there, the farming goods that were there, can no longer be produced? What's that going to do with the economy? I think in that part of Japan a couple of years ago, I'm thinking back a couple of years, that part of Japan, they had a lot of rubber trees. So all of your rubber goods, you have a wristband there. They come out of trees. The liquid latex rubber comes out of trees. And now all that supply, all that production capacity in northern Japan is gone because of all the radiations there. So now rubber prices, raw material prices for rubber go up. So we're going to look at that and see how that happens. So now we're going to go through all these principles. There's 10 of them. I'm going to cover 7 of them. The last few really detail or talk about macroeconomics. We don't really get into that so much. So people face trade-offs. We call this making a decision. So each day you make your own decisions to come to class, what to wear, whether I should shut this window or not. All of that are decisions to be made. So what is a scarce resource for students? So I just mentioned in the previous slide, what are scarce resources? What would...
Time.
Time, exactly. You must have been reading the book, or you just knew it. Good guess. Yeah. So your time. Whether I come to college, not just whether I put 2 hours of studying every night in microeconomics versus 3 hours, but whether I get a 20-hour-a-week job in addition to my responsibilities as a student. Those are some of your, because you have time, you have 24 hours in a day, you need sleep, so what do you do with the rest of your time? Those are decisions you make. So society, these are some of the decisions they make. Do we need more F-22 Lightning Thunders? Do we need, more, air drones? What do we need as a nation to defend ourselves or go to war versus let's just focus on feeding our own people that are starving, that are impoverished, those kinds of things. That's what society kind of battles. Do we need more laser-guided bombs? Or do we just need more microwaves and food and that kind of stuff? Clean environment versus high levels of income. If you're producing a good, you have waste. Maybe you don't need all the material that you use to make the product. Maybe even at a restaurant. Let's think of a restaurant. Again, Mangoes, where they got boxes and cartons of product, raw product, that they take and then they cook. Now, they got leftover cardboard boxes and plastic containers and shrink wrap and all that stuff that they throw in the garbage. If the government didn't require that trash be disposed of properly, people would just throw all their trash out into the back of their business or in the back of their house. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people would just be like, I'm not going to pay for a trash disposal because I don't want to pay for somebody to come pick up my trash. I'm just going to throw it in the back. I don't ever go in my backyard. So I'm just going to throw it in the back. That leads to problems. The environment isn't clean anymore. There's pollution in the air, all of that. So that's one example of where society determines, do we want a clean environment or do we just want to keep making a lot of money? Some countries like China, they have a horrible environmental record, but they're making billions upon billions of dollars every year because they don't have policies for a clean environment, or at least they don't enforce them. Especially in Beijing, up in North China, northeast portion of China, there's a lot of smog, even more than California. So they always have alerts that you have to have your masks on in certain times of the day or certain weeks over in China up there. So, efficiency versus equality, we'll talk a little bit about that. That'll be in the next slide here. So efficiency, another very important aspect of a capitalist society. We want to squeeze every drop of profit out of something that we can. If there's no profit in it, we're not going to do it. That's what this principle is saying, principle 1. Saying, you know, if there's a way to make money, we're going to figure it out. Okay? You can put it like this, you know, make the most money we can by using our scarce resources, whether it's just time. So maybe you're doing a service. Maybe you are producing a good in a factory. Time, skills. And then efficiency is, you know, that economic pie, which means imagine a pie with all these slices in it. Which one is yours? Is your slice bigger than another person's? Are they the same size as other people? That's what efficiency means. Are you using all of your skills, your resources, to make the most profit possible? Or are you, deciding, you know what, I'm going to go to work because I have a job, but I'm really not going to work hard when I have that job. I'm just going to work enough not to get fired. Or are you going to work to try and get promoted and then make more money? That's what we're talking about. Is just work the minimum amount, or in this class, there's many ways to just get a C in this class. Attending class, absorbing some of the material, looking at the slides, you'll probably get a C. Okay? You master a few of the math problems, you'll probably get a C. But you're going to put in additional time to master a few more of the math problems, a few more of the chapters, and then get an A. So, because we all know C's get degrees, so that's nothing new. So, equality, just as it sounds, you might already be familiar with this term, but in economics, I guess just a side note, in economics, we have some very specific definitions of things. So, when I talk about equality, we're talking about economic prosperity. We're not talking about anything else. So we're just talking about money. Equality for a job well done. Men versus women, making sure that they get the same pay for the same work. If you're working at McDonald's downtown versus McDonald's West, doing the same job with the same amount of time put in, then you get in the same pay. Economic prosperity.